So welcome again. My name is Mike Napoli. I'm the president of the LA Philharmonic Association affiliates in the deserts. We're one of 17 committees of the LA Phil that support the LA Phil in a variety of ways. And I'll talk about that as we go on later. And Jonathan Mamora, our featured guest, is sitting there. So Jonathan, say hi again. We got a lot of new people there.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Okay,
Welcome.
let me get more people in the waiting room. Let me let them in. And Randy, I see Randy there, very famous Broadway dancer. So we want to thank the Steinway Society. And I don't necessarily see Ruth here. I see Jim. So Ruth Moore, the founder of the Steinway Society. So we've partnered with the Steinway Society to do this. So one of the things our committee wants to do, our primary focus is youth outreach, youth education. We want to see youth education for the students out here in the Coachella Valley. And one of the ways we intend to do this is by partnering with some of the great organizations that are out here, like the Steinway Society. And there's others, the Opera Guild, the Waring International Piano Competition. So we actually intend to partner with those organizations as well. So in this partnership here, we're recognizing the great work that the Steinway Society does in the schools here in the Coachella Valley. And I'm just going to kind of read some of the things that they do. I'm going to kind of, give Ruth's pitch a little bit. And Ruth, again, is the founder of the Steinway Society. So, and I would encourage you to go to their website. It's steinwayriverside.org. I'll put that in the chat before we leave here today. Three broad categories: music appreciation, music education, music experiences. And I'm going to kind of just just skate over these things. Individually, each one of these things is significant, and I'm not really doing them justice by mentioning them. So I would just encourage you to go to their website to see what these things are about. Mr. McSymphony, which is a program for grades 1 through 5. Piano labs, where they provide pianos and piano instruction to these school kids. Music education, they go into the classrooms. Some of the courses that they'll teach in the classrooms are basics of an orchestra, history of music, history of jazz. They even have a ukulele program, and then musical experiences. And I used to be on the Steinway board a number of years ago, and I'm still an advisor to Ruth, who's the founder. And these musical experiences, they do concerts, classic concerts in the schools. And I got to tell you, I've been brought to tears at some of these concerts, and tears in watching the kids, the students. They'll bring a performer in, one of their festival winners, or maybe somebody from Isle of Wild Arts, or a vocalist. They'll bring them into the school, and they will perform for the students. And you could tell, looking at the students, the audience, that in many cases, this is the first time they've heard something like this. It's so moving. I've been brought to tears for these things. And then also their big awards festival competition, which happens annually. It's held at Xavier College Prep High School in Palm Desert. There's a junior category, which is up to 8th grade, and then the senior category, which is 9 through 12. Master classes and recitals. And in some cases, this is the first recital experience that, these people have. And it's great. And Jim, are you smiling? Jim waved to us. Jim McCormick is he's waving to us. He's the impresario of the festival competition. It's really terrific. It's honestly, it's not generally open to the public, but if you know that it's happening and you wander around down to Xavier when it's happening in the springtime, you could kind of go in and kind of witness it all. So, enough about Steinway. And so what's going to happen here, and again, I'll put their website in the chat box, and go to it. And if you feel so moved, donate. They're really a good organization. I could testify firsthand that they're doing great work in these schools, and they do deserve to be supported. So let's move on to this guy Jonathan, who's on my computer sitting right next to me, but he's certainly many miles away. So Jonathan, age 25. Before I get into this, let me just tell you what's going to happen here today. So we're going to have 3 segments. one segment of like Q&A, which, oh, I got some people in the waiting room. Hold on. 6 more people. Admit them all. Okay. Admit them all. Come in. They're coming in. Oh, Ricardo, another one of our board members. So we're welcoming, there's 6 more people that just joined us. We're underway. And so I'm just outlining what we're going to be doing here today. So 3 segments. The first segment is going to be kind of a Edward R. Murrow. I'm going to interview Jonathan, ask him a couple of questions about, life and what he's been up to and how did he come to the piano and that kind of stuff. And then he's picked 2 selections for us to play, and we might be able to get an encore out of him as well. So he'll play something for us, then we'll go to another Q&A session with me and Jonathan, and then he'll perform again. And then the final Q&A, to be honest with you, we were intending to open it up to everybody to just verbally ask the questions, but there's too many people. We normally have like 20, 25 people in these sessions, and as I look right now, there's 64. So that's kind of too many to open this whole thing up. So what I'm going to ask for everybody, hopefully you know how to do the chat box. So if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see chat. You click on that, and you could enter any question you want for Jonathan or me in the chat box, and I'll have a look at that, and I'll feed them to Jonathan. So we're going to kind of keep everybody muted here, and maybe at the end, the very end, we'll open the mics up so we can give them a round of applause. So that's what's going to happen here today. So Jonathan, at the advanced age of 25, has quite a list of accomplishments. Born and raised in Loma Linda, which is just down the road from the Coachella Valley here. He got his undergraduate degree at the La Sierra University, and he's had performances out here with the Coachella Valley Symphony. His degree at La Sierra is a Bachelor of Music and Piano Performance. He got that in 2017. And he's done a variety of things out here in the desert. And he went on from La Sierra to Juilliard, where in 2019, he received his Master's of Music in Piano at the Juilliard School. And I'm anxious to hear about that in New York and all that stuff. And now he's at the Eastman School, which is long regarded as one of the world's premier schools of music, clearly. I think if you had to say top 10, maybe top 5 in the United States, Eastman is in that category. And at Eastman, he's pursuing his Doctor of Musical Arts and Piano Performance and Literature. And he's also serving as a teaching assistant, but in talking to him, it sounds like he's teaching. He's teaching the class. So that's Jonathan, and we're very lucky to have him on here today because also, I mentioned the Steinway Awards Festival. Jonathan has competed in that, and you've been a finalist. How many times? 6 times, Jonathan? How many times?
Oh, I don't remember anymore.
it's not that long
might
ago.
know better than me, actually. I don't.
Yeah, a number of times, and
few.
And he doesn't remember me, but I met him way back when he was performing at the festival competition for the Steinway Society. So, Jonathan, welcome to us, and we're glad to have you here. And let me just start with the first question about piano. Tell us about growing up and how you came to the piano, or did the piano come to you, and how was that connection made?
It's actually an interesting story. I was 3, my brother was 5. My brother started lessons in piano, and I wanted to start too, but the teacher said I was too young. And so the story, at least what my parents had told me, was that I would listen to my brother practicing, from whatever books he had, and I would remember or try to remember what it was that he had played. And so when he wasn't on the piano, I'd go over to the piano and kind of associated, all right, that sounded like what I heard, that sounded like what I heard. And for whatever reason, the dots on the page, you know, when they moved up, the sound went up. When they moved down, the sound. So apparently there was some sort of association already early on. At least that's what I, you know, what they tell me. So my parents said, okay, we need to put him in lessons, and it's kind of how I started. I started when I was 4. So.
And then I see in your bio, you were a church organist and pianist, and was that your first public performance?
Yeah, the church was yeah, the first public forum. I used to play as one of the church pianists at the Indonesian church in Loma Linda. My dad actually wanted me to play piano so that he could have an accompanist whenever he would sing at church. So that's how the story goes. So that's how I started.
That's it. And, you know, I was talking about the Steinway Society. You certainly know the Steinway Society. What impact did the Steinway Society and your involvement with them have on you, your career, your life, so on and so forth?
I mean, really a great impact. It was, you know, coming from Loma Linda and Southern California, it was something that was local, but the competitions that I had competed in, they'd always attracted, you know, the top, you know, young pianists from everywhere in Southern California. So it was kind of my first foray into seeing how other pianists played, and you can learn a whole lot just from listening to other people, you know, playing music. And so, you know, I, you know, made friends through the competition. You know, every competition they bring in new judges, which one of the things in the competition that's actually great is there's not just an adjudication round, but they also have lessons and masterclass rounds as well. So not only are you just playing for the judges, but they get to teach you as well. So, you know, everything from what they do in schools in the Coachella Valley to even the competitions, there's always, you know, an element of learning involved. But it was something that, you know, I was, you know, fortunate and blessed to be able to compete in and, you know, get feedback from great musicians, see other musicians perform, and, you know, we kind of pushed each other too every year. So.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Let me jump onto the pandemic. So things started happening in March, and I assume you were here in California in March. Where were you in March?
I was actually here in Rochester last.
You were?
Yeah, it was still my first year of school, and the first news actually I heard was when the NBA had started canceling, you know, their games because Rudy Gobert tested positive, and then this happened, and then the whole country shut down. So, I mean, it threw everyone for a loop. At that time, I was not just taking classes, but teaching ear training, actually, over here in Eastman. So, how do you teach ear training online? It's almost impossible. It's possible, but yeah, so we had to kind of figure out on the fly just how the heck do we do any of this? And I mean, aside from, you know, people close to you that, you know, test positive or not feeling well, end up being admitted to hospital. I mean, people dying as well. So you know, I don't necessarily single myself out for being thrown into the loop in this whole thing, as everyone here has probably felt that too. So, yeah.
And then ultimately, you did come back here though to California, right? Or no?
Yeah, I stayed until after the school year was done. I figured that, you know, I might as well just hunker down and complete all my classes before going home, because I know if I'm home, I won't want to do anything at all. So, yeah. But I did end up going back to California for the summer.
So, I mean, does somebody like you, is practice a part of your everyday routine, whether it's pandemic or not, or do you do more during the pandemic, or what? Tell us about your practice habits.
Practice is absolutely a routine. It's But it's something that I've grown to, I think, really enjoy as well, because I remember when I first started taking lessons from my teacher at La Sierra, Elvin Rodriguez. He's here. Hi, Dr. Rodriguez. I remember seeing there was like a newspaper clipping outside of his office that had said, practice makes permanent, right? But perfect practice makes perfect. So that had always stuck with me. And, you know, going to high school and trying to figure out how to balance all the extracurricular stuff in school with as much time. You know, I have friends and colleagues that practice, you know, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours a day, even. And I asked them, where do you find all that time? So the goal for me was always to try to find the most efficient practice possible, which ends up making your practice more purposeful, right? Because you're not just doing a run through every single time and then, oh, I made a mistake, let's repeat it again, run through, you know, you focus on sections. So practicing has always been a, you know, a part of the daily routine, and an enjoyable part of it too, so.
And you're getting a doctoral degree there. When will that be finished?
If all goes according to plan and I don't flunk out of a class,
Please.
Possibly by mid-2022, I might be done. I'll be on track to finish then. Of course, they have notoriously difficult comprehensive exams and a bunch of recitals you have to do as well. So, but it might be done by then. So
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And so what's it like on campus now? Is it all virtual, or is there some in-classroom stuff? Or obviously you have to go to a piano to do that, right?
Yeah. So the way that Eastman has done it has actually been pretty good. There have been no positive cases since we started classes here, which have been really good. There's some strict protocols in place. You know, the halls are pretty much empty, and so it's kind of hybrid. All the lecture classes are online over here, but lessons, rehearsals, any ensemble, collaborative stuff takes place in person if you're in Rochester, and so they have designated practice rooms for, you know, certain instruments, for vocalists. You know, you do lessons in person as well, so at least with my teacher, Dr. Douglas Humphreys, you know, his studio is large enough then that we spaced it out, and so he can be in one side of the room, I can be on another, and we can make music in person, which was actually really nice. You know, listening to music live, and you're not the one playing it. It was quite something. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, speaking of live music, I think that's a great segue here. So you're coming to us from one of the performance halls, right? Kilbourne Hall?
Yeah, Kilburn.
So we were lucky enough, or he was lucky enough for us, to convince the dean to let him use the hall, and he's got sole possession of the hall. And I see that piano behind you there, and I see it looks like it's ready to be played. So why don't you slip over there and maybe tell us first what you're going to play for us?
Sure. So I have the first movement from Rachmaninoff's second piano sonata. He wrote two versions of the sonata, one in 1913, and then he revised it in the 30s, almost 20 years later. And there's some significant differences, but this one I think really captures Rachmaninoff's spirit, his youthful spirit and vitality, I think, a little bit. So this is the first movement from Rachmaninoff's second piano sonata.
Great.
playing quite a bit.
Yeah, well, everybody's supposed to play.
Yeah, good to see him. Is it halftime now, or is there section over?
Well, they're having the consolation game after halftime.
So there's done.
Playing the last game.
It's like Andrew's playing on the offense there.
That was absolutely fantastic. And a question came into chat that was really on my mind as you were playing it. How long does it take you to memorize something like that?
Uh, it depends. It could be anywhere from a few weeks to a month or a couple of months. Um, but the memorizing part is probably the easier of the
Huh.
process. It's the months and years of working on a piece like that afterwards that reveal so much and is it's an endless quest, I guess you could say. So, yeah.
Oh, good, good. Listen, I need to do a little promo for our group here. We talked about the Steinway Society in the first segment. So the LA Phil affiliates. And I see our chairman, Louise, is with us here today. And I recognize Joseph Fennick from the Phil, who kind of really oversees all the affiliate activity. He's a senior manager there in the department. And so there's 17 of these affiliate organizations. So we're the newest, the affiliates in the desert. All these committees have certainly a fundraising aspect to them, but they all have a specific orientation. Like our committee is youth outreach. We're all about, I'll just read our goal that's on our website. Our goal is to bring the gift of music making into the lives of the students in the Coachella Valley who wouldn't otherwise have access to it. So that's kind of like our goal / mission statement for our particular committee. There's another committee in downtown Los Angeles that their focus and support is of the LA Phil's Music Library. And I happen to also be a member of that committee. Fascinating, just learning about the LA Phil's Music Library and what they do. And, I see Jonathan shaking his head. These orchestras wouldn't function without the library and the librarians. But all these committees have a different orientation. And so ours is for youth. And the LA Phil offers a variety of things for youth as a part of our committee and just things that are on their website. And it's all part of the learning division. There's special symphonies for the youth, rehearsals, online activity, YOLA, which is Youth Orchestra Los Angeles, which I think most people have heard of. There's local and national programs on the Phil's website that are available. Resources for students and educators alike are there on the Phil's website. So we're doing that, and we've had meetings with Palm Springs Unified out here. We're going to try and do some things with the learning division and more outreach into the schools. We hope. So YOLA is an orchestra, Youth Orchestra Los Angeles, and we're hoping. Joseph is working on this to get a YOLA grad, a YOLA alumni who's gone through the program, who could talk to us about what it was like going through that YOLA program. And this is based on the Dudamel's El Sistema. This is the LA version of it that he's done. And I think anybody who knows Gustavo knows that this is near and dear to his heart. Even during this pandemic, his focus is on this group and these people and everything. So it's certainly front and center for him, and it's front and center for us. So there's a variety of things that our group does. And so the promo here is we're a committee. There's almost 30 of us right now out here in the desert, and we're looking for new members. We would encourage anybody who's with us today, whether it's a Steinway person or somebody that Jonathan knows, or honestly, you don't even have to, in this day and age and whatnot, you don't even have to be out here. Okay, could everybody please mute themselves? I mean, somebody's, I'll jump on it. Yeah, I've been jumping on, somebody else was unmuting themselves. Yeah, so please keep yourself muted, everybody. So that's, some of the things that broadly we're up to, but as a benefit of membership, so if you're an affiliate member, there are rehearsals at Walt Disney Concert Hall, the Hollywood Bowl that are open only to the affiliate members, special affiliate packages for opening night at Disney Hall, galas, salons, and I mentioned these 17 other committees. You're able to attend many of the meetings and concerts that these other committees hold. Workshops on fundraising, leadership. There's an entity called the Music Mobile, which is kind of a kick. It's a van that's got instruments in it. It goes around to the schools. It's a very limited resource and it can't go everywhere, but those committees that are able to access this resource, and we're going to try, we can bring that out to the schools, one school, two schools, or many schools, and it's kind of a hands-on education on the instruments that are there. And then in the Coachella Valley, prior to the pandemic, we had these wonderful salons, and we intend to go back to these salon events, private salon events for members only. Concerts with speakers, recitals like this. We've had various LA film members come out, discounted rates to luncheons and things that we put on. And then these collaborations, we fully intend to, our goal is not to go in the schools to do the education, the hands-on stuff like Steinway does. Steinway does that well. We're not going to replicate that. We're not going to compete with them. The Waring International Piano Competition, I don't know if anybody is on from there. I know somebody had signed up. We intend to do the same thing with them. We hope to have an event with them. The Opera Guild. So there's many organizations, CV Rep, there's a lot of organizations out here in the Valley that are already in the schools. We want to support those organizations. So we'll have the special events with them, collaboration with them. And there's volunteer opportunities, all kinds of volunteer opportunities to get involved, get engaged. Our board, I thank all of our board members that are with us today. They've all really rolled up their sleeves and helping getting this group going. We're new. We had our first official event earlier this year, but we were like almost 2 years prior to that, just getting things up and running and getting going. So I would encourage anybody who's interested in joining us. It's not all that much money. You could email me or contact me directly. My email address was in that Zoom invitation. It's right there, and it's very simple. Mike Napoli at Yahoo. It's my name at Yahoo. So contact me. I could send you the materials. I'm happy to talk to you about it and all that stuff. So Jonathan, I'm through with my promo, and now it's back to you. So Juilliard, I used to live in New York, and I every time I walked by the building there at Lincoln Center, I was like, wow, I wonder what goes on inside there. I mean, how tough is it for the students at Juilliard? I mean, what could you just briefly give us what your experience there was and how tough it was?
So it's nothing like Whiplash, what's his name, the instructor. There's no throwing cymbals around or anything at students. It's none of that. But there is a lot of pressure. I think that comes with the pressure that students put on themselves, the standards that teachers hold you to as well. I found it to be two of the most formative years that I've ever had, and I'm grateful for the time that I was there. I remember my first year in there. I just had this dread of do I belong? I don't, I remember the first studio class I played for, my teacher interrupted me in the second movement of Beethoven's Opus 110 piano sonata, and he said, yeah, we're gonna have to work on it a little bit more. And I said, oh, okay. I said, oh, it was bad. So, but you get used to it, and you get used to elevating yourself and the mindset to, everything from the classes you take to, I was also teaching in there as well, to people you collaborate with, teachers. So it was fantastic. It was intense. Everyone's practicing all the time. I remember waiting an hour for a practice room. I remember, and they've upgraded all the systems, so have key card access and everything. But yeah, everyone's always practicing. So it was competitive, but I think in a good way, for me at least. And I felt very, very good about it.
Yeah. So, I know a number of musicians, well, actually pretty much all of them that have become composers started out with some instrument. Does composing do anything for you? Is that something that you might want to do someday, or that's just forget about it?
No, it's not forget about it. It's just that I've attempted before, and I would always be very unhappy with what I'd write. but I made the mistake of just throwing it all out afterwards. And so I realized that sometimes you come back to an idea maybe a year later, or who knows however much time later, and you said, oh, that's genius, you know. So I mean, I've done arranging of, you know, hymns and whatnot, but you know, I can see composition being a part of, you know, the fold. I just probably would need to just start writing down ideas and going that way. So.
All right. Speaking of composers, I mean, if you had for your own purposes, your own, I guess, piano, who are your top three?
Oh, top three. See,
That you either like to play, admire, they're difficult. I mean, for whatever reason, you would put them in this top three.
It sounds very cliche, but Beethoven being one of them.
For piano.
Yes. Some of the things that he was doing was, I mean, everyone classifies him as a, you know, classical composer, but in reality, he was, you know, very romantic too. You know, he altered forms and structures of pieces. He would reincorporate things that were done in the past that everyone had already, you know, pushed away, like fugues, for instance, and, you know, doing it all while losing his hearing at the same time. And so everyone kind of holds Beethoven to this like almost godly pedestal, which, like, yeah, I get, but I do regard him as, you know, I guess one of my top three. I love playing Rachmaninoff. You know, it's just something satisfying of being able to just, I don't know, just, you know, my I think my teacher's actually here, Dr. Humphreys, and he told me, Dr. Humphreys, you'll have to correct me if it's is it a quote from Leon Fleischer? I think it was. I don't know, but of describing Russian music as the music that says, you know, oh, how I suffer. And so it's just very emotionally filled and very, you know, passionate. So, you know, Rachmaninoff's up there. I've really grown to appreciate Liszt as well. Not necessarily for some of the more virtuosic stuff, you know, the showy pieces like the Hungarian Rhapsodies or whatnot, but some of the later stuff too. It was, you know, quite out there, and you know, very experimental too, very forward thinking, and you know, everyone dismisses Liszt as this, you know, the Beatles of the 1800s, but even the Beatles, you know, had some pretty genius stuff too. So, you know, yeah. So I guess that there are those three.
Those are the three. So another great segue. I know Liszt is the next thing you've got teed up for us. So why don't you go for it?
Sure.
And maybe why don't you talk about the piece and maybe a little, whatever you want to say about the piece before you play it.
Sure. So the next selection is by Franz Liszt from his later years. And this was composed around the time when, you know, he had health problems, he lost his children, and he was kind of searching for answers. He turned to religion and to God. And so this is, I'm going to botch the French, but Le Jeu d'eau à la Villa d'Este. You know, the water games of the Villa d'Este. From his third year of pilgrimage, Année de Pèlerinage. And you can kind of hear the, you know, just the way that he treats water. No one had, you know, really done anything like this before him. And so even Ravel was influenced by Liszt's Jeu d'eau to create his own Jeu d'eau. So yeah, this is Le Jeu d'eau à la Villa d'Este.
Great. Oh, that was terrific.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was terrific. I'm moved by that, to be honest with you. But I'm looking at the clock. We're running out of time. Hopefully you could stay with us a little longer. I want to talk you out of an encore. Are we going to get an encore out of you possibly?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
But just a couple questions before we go to that. So, your resume is very impressive. Undergraduate, La Sierra, master's, Juilliard, and now a doctoral degree at the world-renowned Eastman School. So where is Jonathan 5 years from now? What will we see? What will he be doing? Teaching, or will he be on a stage somewhere? Or
I love to perform, and so hopefully, I'll, be on some stage, playing some piano there. I've also found that I've grown like a true passion for teaching as well. It's hard work, but there's something really rewarding about it, especially when you see your students, come to accomplishment at the end and see that they've invested their time, and and I'm grateful to all my teachers as well. So I want to do both. I want to teach, I want to perform. So I hope it happens.
Well, and there's no reason why you can't do that, because our beloved Jean-Yves Thibaudet, who performs with the Phil regularly, he's in residence at the Colburn School. So he does teaching. So listen, some of the biggest names are doing that, Lan and whatnot. So,
Right.
So any final thoughts for us, or advice you would give to a young musician or a young musician's parent or grandparent who may be on with us today? What would you like to say for us finally here?
Well, first of all, thank you to everyone here for tuning in. I see a lot of familiar faces, people from back in California, some people here in the East Coast as well, to all the LA Phil affiliates as well, and Steinway Society is also, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity also to share some music and to talk with you. I guess advice or whatever to the young musician, if there's any that's out there, is just keep at it. Like, find something you truly enjoy about it, because music encompasses so many things. Things that people love, some things that people are familiar with, things that people don't like at all. And so it's such a big spectrum of things. And so for parents, put your kids in piano lessons or in music lessons. Even if they're not musicians later on, my dad always told me that it sharpens the brain. So and sure enough, I know a bunch of musicians who don't end up doing music as their career, and they're succeeding in wherever they're at now. So I hope that, I don't know what COVID will look like or what the world will look like post-COVID. Is there a post-COVID? I hope that music is still a part of our culture, in whatever form it is, whether it's in the concert stage or whether it's in Zoom meetings like this. There's so much wonderful music that to be shared and that we can all experience, and it's such a powerful force, I believe, which is why I'm very passionate about making sure that I and people that I surround myself with, that we can make music as good as we can. It'll never be perfect, but if we can put out some good music in this world, then the world will be a better place for it. So
Wow, that sounds terrific. Wow. So I guess two things here. I put into the chat box while you were playing last a link to your website, and you know, Jonathan has a donate button there. And there's also a link to his website in the original invitation that you received for this session today. So you either go back to that, or it's in the chat box now, linked to his website. And I think of those people that remember the Little Rascals, and maybe a little old for that, but they had a show one day. It was pay as you exit. If you like the performance, pay. So I think we all enjoyed it, and I'm sure we're going to enjoy your encore. So I would just encourage people to go to his website. There's a donate button there. I did it last night. It works. And whatever, he's in school there. And there's also a link to our website, the Affiliates in the Desert. I also put that in there as well. So Jonathan, what I'm going to do is From the Top is one of the great organizations, I think, in this country that supports music for youth. And they have a weekly broadcast, which is locally on KUSC. It's on Sunday nights at 6 o'clock. I often plan my Sunday evenings around that broadcast. I just love it. Peter Dugan's the host, a famous pianist. And what Peter does closing that show, we're going to do right now. He asks who's ever there, who's ever performing, to play us out. So we're going to say goodbye to you now, Jonathan. We're not coming back after you perform. You're going to play us out. But the people that stay with us, and I encourage everybody to stay with us, when he's finished playing his encore, I'm going to be here, but I won't say anything. But unmute yourself, and we could give him a round of applause. So that'll be your big round of applause. So Jonathan, play us out.
Right.
What's it going to be? What's it going to be?
This is Leonard Bernstein's piano arrangement of Aaron Copland's El Salon.
Please mute yourselves.
Yeah, mute yourself until it's over. Yeah. Wow.
Bravo.
Hey, bravo.
Thank you, Jonathan, so much. Yeah, again, the link to his website's in the chat box. Mike Napoli at Yahoo. If anybody wants to contact me to say something to Jonathan or membership or whatnot. But just thank everybody for being here. And Jonathan, I can't thank you enough. Those three pieces you did for us were, all three of them were really spectacular, really spectacular. So one more round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Stay safe.
Bravo.
Wear your
Thank you.
mask.
Bravo, Jonathan, bravo.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.